Another day in the Virgo world, baby. The Virgo TV. Got my special guest and co-host today. How you doing? Introduce yourself, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. My name is Trinity. I am someone who is here to help enlighten those who are lost, who have a desire to wonder how to unplug from the matrix and come into the light of the truth of who are. I'm a systems architect. I study the systems and I develop systems to help get you out.
All right. All right. It's sure glad to have you
I'm here to
here.
help them,
You
here
know,
to help
it's
them
sure
out.
glad to have you here. Hmm, got a little echo, but that's all right. We're gonna work through it. We're gonna work through it. Yeah, the topic of the day was, pain is a part of life, you know, and as you know, Trinity, all of us don't suffer some kind of pain, some kind of trauma in our life. And what I see a lot of people do is hold on to it. I think you should let it go. I think you should just, you know, accept that it happened, accept that it caused you pain and suffering, and just go on. And when I say pain, I'm talking about spiritual and mental pain that causes physical pain, you know? And I think people should learn how to just get rid of the pain and go on with life because believe it or not, that pain helped them grow to another spiritual and mental level. What you think about it?
Yes, the goal is to be able to let it go. And a lot of people want to let go of the pain, the thoughts that are associated with the pain. People want to heal, but the thing is that no one is teaching them how. What do you need to know? What is what is the information you need to know in order to heal? What are the steps that to take in order to well, in order to do that, you have to in order that there's certain data that you're going to need to acquire. And the most basic thing you need to know is how you function as a human being and how you're made of energy and how energy can be programmed. And so you also have to understand that energy exists in different states, which means that we're multidimensional beings. And so in order for you to let go, you have to understand who you are at your base level and how you past, present, and your future. You are multidimensional being. And what you need to do,
Mhm.
the steps you need to take is first identify your highest and wisest version of yourself, the consciousness, the voice that is within you that is the one that is telling you, pick up this book, read this, watch this, ask this question. It's going to be okay. We got you. You've already, been through it. I'm here. I'm gonna guide you through it. First, identify that voice. That is the voice you're going to follow, and that is the voice that is connected to your future self. It's your guide. You, in the present moment, your awareness, have to obey and yield, do the work, and follow that. So there's things that you have to do. You have to listen and take those steps. But a lot of times we don't take those steps because we are holding back because of some past pain from usually our childhood or some past experience that is keeping us stuck because we're afraid or somebody didn't tell us or we weren't affirmed and we're stuck because we keep getting triggered. Every time we think about moving forward, something that bad happened to us triggers our mind. We put our minds to it. We start thinking about it. It turns into a chemical hormone, floods our body with stress, gives us shocks to the heart, shocks to the gut. That's anxiety. Now we stop. We don't move forward. So what you need to do is you need to follow that wild version of yourself, and it's going to say, hey, I understand that this has hurt you. I understand that, you're scared, but I'm here. And me, you in your present moment have to mother and father and reparent yourself and give yourself the grace, give yourself the love, give yourself the patience that a mother and a father would give and say, it's going to be all right. I'm here with you. Now that I know what I know now, I'll never let this happen to you again. I've learned. You have to read. You have to understand. You have to learn what happened that caused this and do that
Right.
in the present moment. Go back to your past. And then once you do that enough with yourself, every time you get that trigger and that thought, a little more you feel comfortable and you feel lighter. And then that lightness allows you to move forward with courage. So you have to take
But
certain steps to do that.
see, that goes back to knowing thyself as
Yes. It looks like I believe he'll be back. We're getting into down pain and suffering and the source. And this is our first go around, and we're gonna take our time and learn what we need to learn as we work through our the technicals. We're still live. Let's see.
Trinity. Can you give me? Go ahead and finish explaining to them.
Yeah, I can hear you
Yes, explain to
explaining.
them how the pain will enhance their spiritual growth, enhance their mental growth.
Yeah, your pain enhances your spiritual growth because that voice that you're following that's telling you what to do to get out of it, how to get unstuck, that voice is guiding you, is giving you. You're taking your present moment and applying that and doing the work. What you're doing is you're developing a mental framework of how you overcame a situation. And as human beings, we collectively experience similar types of pains, similar types of experiences. So, how you were able to overcome something is an entire lesson that can help somebody else. And so that gives you your intrinsic value. That's how you can take the pains of your experiences and turn it into intrinsic value, value that can only come from you. And then once you start to learn about your superpowers, you start learning about your strengths, you use your strengths to help fuel you and your purpose and your you turn that into a purpose and a mission, and you use your strength to get you out of it. So it's a process, and that's the process. What is missing is no one's really teaching a structure, a framework. And so over time, you develop a mental framework. So now when you have a question of, dang, like, what, what is my worth outside of my paycheck? What is my worth outside of my bank account? You can get to that answer because you've developed the mental framework to get there. Well, this is what I know, and this is how I know it. And you take that, turn it into a lesson, and you now use that to serve someone else. And you start to build out outside of outside of the matrix. But yeah, do you have like experience with pain? Like, do you see how you had to like find the God within you, the voice within you, doing that voice to get you to who you are today?
Yeah, it's like the whole situation with me was it was more or less traumatizing to a point where life itself was really, really beating me down. And I didn't understand what was the situation and understand this lifespan, how this pain can just be used in order to help me grow until I had to sit down and look at the blessing that came after it, you know? And that is what woke me up to realize that the pain in our life, we are looking at it and taking it wrongly. Actually, it shouldn't even become a pain once we spiritually elevate over the level of the pain. Because pain is on a lower plane of existence. And what the divine is telling us, you're going to stay in this conscious mindset of living this way and feeling these things until you understand, like my aunt say, your heart must be lighter than a feather in order for you to rise. And that is the beautiful part about it. And so once I came into that realization and realized that this beauty of going through was very, very beautiful.
Yeah,
And I use
you start.
I use
Oh, go ahead.
hold on 1 minute, Trinity. I don't know what has taken place with this camera. Mm, It's sad. But that's the beauty of overcoming. And it's always a thing that you gotta go through to overcome. Mm,
Yeah, yeah. What I like what you said about it low vibration. It's a low energy. And once you see yourself outside of being a hue of a man, a human, which is a shade of a man, outside of
mhm.
being that, what are you? You are energy. And energy is programmable. And in this body, this physical body, the way our reality is created is we get signals to our brains interpret it, we put our awareness into it, it turns into a chemical. That chemical is hormones. Those hormones fit our bodies and it makes us feel a certain way. We are having thoughts that come into our mind of maybe somebody that hurt us or somebody that may hurt us, and we keep putting our awareness, thought that is causing that milliseconds. That thought is already transformed into a chemical, a hormone, and those hormones are cortisol, which is released when the brain senses the threat, and it keeps you on edge, anxious, and overthinking. Adrenaline gets released to the body, which increases the heart rate. That's why when those thoughts come into your mind from your past, that experience, what does it do? It makes your heart rate. You get a shock to your heart, a shock to your gut. That's anxiety. That's because you're getting increased on these hormones. Dopamine, your dopamine drops. Dopamine keeps you on the high and keeps you on the up. But then you get these dopamine drops, so now you're coming down. So you see, now your energy is being your energy system, your nervous system is being flooded with these hormones that keeps your energy state low.
Mm. Yep. And that is the way you break a man nervous system down. When
Yes,
you put trauma and all of these things in front of him and causes his subconscious mind to feast on the trauma instead of feasting on pleasant things, you
exactly.
got it. You got it. And see, that's what the colonizers use, and they continue to use it. Just like right now, as we go live, and I have checked everything and rechecked everything, but all of a sudden, OBS Studio somehow pull up. You get what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah, yeah,
any other person would have been like, wow. But see, here's the thing. I don't do it for the money. I do it for the love. I don't do it for the clout. I do it to help people. Long as they can
your passion.
hear this voice, then they know I'm on the scene. So
Yeah.
whatever they come up with, and I can't say it's anybody in the system that sabotaged it because it might have been me. But here's the thing. It's might have funny. All of a sudden, it jumped to OBS, and I don't know why. And I'm trying to figure it out. I even deleted OBS off the computer. But what I'm saying is, the show must go on. The show
Yes.
must go on. And
You know
and
what? It's an interesting saying, right? The sun don't say, "Yo, let me get dressed. Let me put my tie suit on before I shine." No, it doesn't do that. It just
mm-mm,
rises.
yeah. What Andre 3000 said, you can paint a pretty picture, but you can't predict the weather. So whatever you go through in life, you can have a willingness to have a beautiful outcome, but we don't always get that. You get me what I'm saying? So what we have to do is deal with whatever life brings us, and then the blessed thing is to keep your integrity.
Yeah. Yes. That is exactly that is what we do. And to go back to what you meant is about how did we get these traumas? Because there's certain traumas that we have adopted, that we have taken on, that was outside of our choosing. We have certain traumas, and the traumas that we, and I say the people of color in this society, that we bear from the colonizer, it starts in the education system. And it starts when you learn, when they teach about slavery, because they teach slavery to a person of color from a place of trauma. It's traumatizing. You are a middle schooler, you're 12, 13 years old, 11 years old, and you got to sit through a class watching people that look just like you getting hung up, strung up, whipped repeatedly, chained, dehumanized, mistreated. That is a lot of trauma that they inflict on to our young kids, and that keeps us in a low vibrational state of we're just descendants of slaves and we can fight because we have some freedom fighters, some of them that they acknowledge, but that's the basis of where that starts. It starts in the education system on how they teach you about yourself. And that keeps you in a state of low racial esteem. It keeps
Yeah.
you in a state of you don't feel good about who you are and people that look like you. And you are stuck with that. And then they don't teach any empathy. They don't teach that it was wrong, it's something we shouldn't have done. It was a shameful act. We repaired that. We gave them the help that they needed. They don't do that. Instead, they say, well, they fought, we changed the laws, and then, it took on new forms. And then, you know, and then they constantly don't take accountability, you know, for this of the people of today. They don't take no accountability as far as, you know, what they've done and what they've caused. And so you grow up with this trauma and it follows you into every room, into every industry, into every sector, into every aspect of your life, and is a burden and is a weight that you are bearing. Are you still there? It looks like your phone.
Yeah, I'm still here. It's uh I'm trying to get this camera working, but I'm listening to you because you got to think about it. And this is twofold, and this is what I try to teach people, that the colonizers did what they did because of fear. They do what they do because of fear right now. And the reason I say that is they know the power that we have within us. And we got to know what power we have, and we can use it. We can use it for our benefit. See, what we have within us, and I'm not just saying, I'm saying the whole human race has it in them, is the power to adapt and overcome. And once we trigger that, see, once we trigger that, it's more of us than it's them. And then we would break the stereotype barriers, race barriers that keep us divided and conquered. See? So knowing thyself and having a peace of mind within thyself will carry you to a higher level of understanding. And that's what we have to do. We got to delete the program that they programmed us with. And that is the way to do that. You can't do it with anger. You got to do it with a peace, with a love. Because here's the thing, on the inside, you you got to have power, love, and soundness in order to change your surroundings to power, love, and soundness. So if you don't have it within you and you're not generating that kind of knowledge, the ignorance will continue to play within individuals. And guess what? Videos like this will be devastating to this society that we live in. You get me what I mean?
Yes, I get exactly what you mean. This type of information that breaks down the systems, that breaks down the science, and make it practical is dangerous to the system, because if you understood who you are and how your mind works and how your reality is created, you wake up to see how you're being influenced by outside forces, outside influences. And so it is important that you know, because it breaks the system from your mind. It breaks you free. But you're definitely right, because when it comes to man's natural state, woman's natural state, divine being, your natural state is a state of peace. And if your mindset, if your thoughts are not bringing you peace, which is turning those thoughts into a chemical hormone of serotonin that creates emotional stability and confidence and contentment. Oh, there, you're back. You're
Back
back.
now. That's why I say you got to have your peace, man. I wasn't gonna give up. I wasn't gonna give up. Mm-mm. No,
That's what's up.
because
That's what's
it's too much power gonna go on in this conversation.
I feel like I got so much, I got just years of wisdom in me. It's like I could spend the rest of my life just teaching, because there's like an infinite amount of wisdom to share.
Oh yeah,
This is
oh
going to be
yeah,
going on for a minute.
yeah. And see, so what we got to do is make the example and teach people about metaphysics, and get them to understand that it is a spiritual realm that they are projecting from, and understanding that you must align the heart and mind, because that's what they attack the central nervous system. Anger just eats up the central nervous system. It just brings so much pain to it, because it's distorting the information that the nervous system's supposed to shoot from the vagus nerve to from the heart through the vagus nerve to the mind. And so anger, frustration, loneliness, bitterness, hatred, uh uh and the lack thereof, it it just destroys a man. It just destroys a man. So we have to prepare ourselves to rise above any and every situation and keep the spiritual integrity, the mental integrity, and the physical integrity. You know, I got a clip right here I want to show. And this was years ago, but the thing is, this lady right here is very special. But listen to what she finna say. Let me set it up. Okay.
The children know only what we teach them. If there is something wrong in the generations, which last two generations, which did not carry on the tradition, we have not taken the children to our knees and told them the truth. Darling, here's the way it is. You live in direct relation to the poets, the heroes, and the sheroes you have. Always honor the elders. Oh, then you honor yourself. Honor women. You honor yourself. Honor men. You honor yourselves. Watch your mouth. Watch what you say to another human being. Don't be so ready to be rude. You have to teach the children that. And yet each one of us is a teacher. There are small people who watch you as you walk down the street. They say, oh, I like the way she walks. Oh, I like the way he talks. Did you see him turn that corner? You see how he wears his hair? People are watching. Small people are watching because they are all our children. The black ones, the white ones, the Asian, Spanish-speaking, Native American, Aleut, they are all our children. The children know.
And what you think? What you think about that?
I think, you know, you know, this was a beautiful divine soul that came to express her feminine intuition. She came to share her message, and she did it beautifully. And what I got from that is that we all have the ability to change who we want to be within each other as a collective. And it starts with our children. Instead of, you know, going to schools amongst, you know, going to school amongst white people and in their school systems. And then what we get is just your pretty much your history is you come from a slave, you come from, you know, you're poor, everything associated with poverty is associated with being black. You know, you could be mistreated. And then showing videos and reading, you know, you go to their schools and they're still reading books like How to Kill a Mockingbird. They're still
Mm.
reading those types of books, you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
right now today in their school system. So those types of that kind of education, it teaches them how to view us, and it teaches us how to view ourselves, our place in the world. And it gets to bullying, being mistreated, being teased, haha, my grandparents owned yours. And it puts us in this state where, you know, one is superior than another. And that's detrimental. And we'll have to spend our time, tax-paying dollars, for that type of education. Instead, we can teach our children the truth, what happened, and how it's wrong, and another way to love everyone. Everyone is treated equally and fairly, because then that allows that, and you know, you teach history where empowering, not disempowering, because then that allows that racial esteem weight to come off of us, and we can start doing what we're called to do and have more mental room and mental space for that. So that's what I hear when I hear her saying that, and we all have that ability to teach our children. It's
And
not just
and
in the institutions.
and my thing is, I agree fully to what she's saying because education start at home. Okay, but this is the divine trick that they did from education 6 years old. You send your child off to school. The
Yeah.
indoctrination starts, right?
Oh my God.
And
Hmm.
then this child is indoctrinated all the way till 17 and a half, some
Yeah,
18.
yeah.
Now, when he leaves up out of there, he's only been indoctrinated to the point where he can go get a job, go to college, go to the army, and that's the level. The ones that have proper education, the 7 liberal arts, can go beyond that. You see? So ignorance is passed down from generation to generation. And in her heyday, when that video probably was took, I'm gonna say she was about 34, 35, somewhere like that. People was on the decline at that time in our human quality of integrity. It was on the downcline because in the 70s they flooded the communities with herons and all this thing. Then they come
Yes.
right back in the 80s and flooded with crack and cocaine. Then they came right back in the 90s with all kinds of stuff. Now I don't even know. I lost track of it. But
It's
the
the mass
point,
incarceration.
the point I'm trying to say is this. In order to see, we got out of the physical chains, but we never got out of the mental chains. Okay. And here's what I don't found in my research, that not only they placed us in mental bondage, they did the whole world
Yeah.
through, guess who they used to do it? A lot of our creativity.
To
And
colonize the
then
world.
respect. Respect is out of the window. People can't even see opportunity in front of them because they got this blinder in front of them because they don't know how to respect themselves and know how to respect other people. And this is the problem. It's no longer a physical warfare. It's no longer a black and white thing. This is a spiritual warfare. Yeah, it's a mental warfare. And the human race is now at stake. And what we got to do is change our mind. And once we change our mind, then we'll change our direction. Because I believe in my heart. Now, this is what I know for a fact. No matter what color a person is, they come to me and have respect, kindness. That's what they're gonna get from me. I don't care. I don't been all over the world. I don't been to Asia. I don't been to South America. I don't been to Europe. I don't been everywhere. And when I throw out respect, they throw it back in. You get me? And that's the way life's supposed to be. But see, I know
Yeah.
I'm divine. A lot of people don't know they divine, and they scared to go anywhere. They're scared to live like that. But me, I see that love that we have inside of us. We gotta try to share that love with all races of people, all kind of people, like she was saying. And the reason why I'm saying that is this right here. I don't care what color you is, or what race, or what gender. You might have something intelligence to raise my consciousness to a whole nother level. But if I be mean to you or belittle you or treat you in an
Yeah.
evil way, I missed the blessing. I didn't even
Yeah.
see the blessing in front of me.
That's the whole kicker. That's everything. You're missing out. You're slowing your own growth of society, you're slowing your own growth when you implement this racial hierarchy. You're just kicking out and canceling out a whole group of people that have already been proven to be the most creative, most innovative, most peaceful. We're peaceful beings. We harmonize with the sun. We want better for all people. We're true humanitarians. You're missing that when you put
Yeah.
this racial hierarchy in your systems, and that's the colonizer system. That's the
Yeah.
system of colonization, and that is what they don't teach is how did they colonize? Because when you look at history, when you look at the Romans, that's what they were doing. They were going around everywhere they went into new lands. They were coming out of the mountains. They were coming out of the mountains of Europe, and they were coming into the Mediterranean, seeing the Greeks. The Greeks was in the They were calling them the barbarians because they were coming down with war. They were slaughtering people. They started off stealing and pillaging, and they were getting in wars with everybody over territory and resources. And they come into the land through war, and what they do, they slaughter, murder everybody. The ones that survive, they're sick. What do? They enslave them, and they make them servants. They build their institutions, build up their borders, and then they, put laws in place where they are the beneficiaries. They're sitting at the racial hierarchy. They take
Mm-hmm.
over, they take all the resources, and they use a numbering counting system to be able to keep track, to leave the very least for them, and then they take the large percentage, and then they implement these economic systems. And this is how what they do, and then they teach the people. It's like, well, how do people like be okay with this? Because they were developing and erecting their own temples where they were patriarchal, where the males were the gods were warlike, and gods believed in slavery. So this is the modern day Romans, and they're still going around. What are they doing? They're imperializing. They went down into Jerusalem. They went down into Egypt. They went down and they were pillaging. They were colonizing. They went into Africa. Then they went into Americas and they continued colonizing. And that's what we're seeing today in the Middle East. They're colonizing. In about 30,
And
40 years, that's going to be a resort where they could go and golf at and make money, lots of profits.
when you agree, when you agree that the system cannot hold you once you start developing, cultivating true consciousness, do you think that consciousness could be stopped by this system once you come in contact with knowledge saying you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the ego? When you come in contact and start doing research with uh, with philosophical literature and understanding sounds and music and tones and energies and vibrations, and you start dealing with all the metaphysics and the Kemetic teachings, or Hindu teachings, the Buddhist teachings, and then you go to the Islamic teachings, and you start just cultivating the information of the Taurus field. Then you start seeing the bigger lie that
Yeah,
they put on all races.
yeah.
They gave all races. Do you think that it can stop you from getting to the source, or opening up uh, mental portals for people to learn? It is, once you see it, you can't go back. That's basically, I should have just said
Yes,
that. Once you see it, you just can't go back.
yeah,
You know?
yes. But yes, the system, you are building a system. That is, that yes, the system can't stop you. And the system can't stop you because of the sun. The sun shines
Hmm.
for everyone, the entire planet. Can nobody take that from you?
Right.
So that is available to you. That is source energy that is available to you everywhere, no matter where you are. The sun will touch you.
Hmm.
So when you understand the importance of understanding this knowledge, it helps you break out of the conditioning, the programming. It can't touch you because once you understand that you have the ability to turn information from the sun into a nutrient, which
Hmm.
is used through your melanin, and that melanin gives you access to higher levels of consciousness to think. Once you start to learn about these things, how you communicate with the sun source,
Hmm.
and what it does to the body and what it does to the mind, and it improves your mood, it increases your hormonal cocktail levels, your dopamine, it increases your oxytocin. That type of
Yeah.
energy, that type of life-giving source is abundant for everyone. And
Right.
once you start spending time with it and start just spending time in the sun, allowing your hair to absorb the nutrients of the sun,
Well, you,
get it in the scalp. Let it let it hit the
yeah.
skin. But that right there is a source that the matrix can't stop, because you're gonna start hearing a voice, and that voice is going to increase, and then that voice is going to start giving you, you're going to start getting downloads, and you're going to start getting thoughts, and you're going to start seeing yourself in a different way. And if you follow that voice, it's going to
Uh-huh.
take you to answer the questions that will bring you to the truth, that will awaken you.
Yeah.
So no, the matrix, the system is not above you. You have the power.
And this is the reel that in. Now, this is what I'm gonna say. Now, I'm finna share the screen and put this scripture up here. And the reason why I ask you that, because they have fooled us like they have so much power over us, and they have none. You know, and when you tell people and try to give them the metaphysic meanings of the Bible, and to show them that everything is already yours. They have no power over you. But this scripture in Romans 8 and 28, it say, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Now, a lot of people will miss what I'm finna say. They will miss it because the simple fact is the biblical text, where they understand it at, that word God is, we can use, I say godliness, because God is in forever eternal. So it's not just solid. You know, you give him ego when you say God. So I say godliness. And the thing is, why I say that is this right here. We think in our little bitty minds that trouble gonna last always. But here's the thing. A lot of times we go through experiences that we need to get us back on the spiritual path that we don't jumped off. A lot of times it is working together. It's like yin and yang, male and female, right and left, up and down, right foot, left foot. It works together. And so
Mhm.
we get so mentally bogged down, we don't even see the blessing in front of us after we don't came out of the situation. And that's what I think we got to reprogram our minds,
Yes, we do
you
need to
know?
reprogram our mind. We've been conditioned through religious systems to
Mm,
believe in an external God, that God is something outside of us, and it is something that we pray to, and the characteristics of this God accepts slavery, the characteristics of this God accepts wars, accepts you invading, accepts you, going lands and taking over. God, they believe in a colonizing type of God. And so we're conditioned through the Roman Empire implemented a religious system where they gave you doctrines, they turned it into scriptural books, and that gave them the authority to tell you what to believe. And so now you believe that God is outside of you, and you're born a sinner, even a fresh newborn baby. You look down, oh, you're a sinner, and we got to baptize you. Teach you baptism is something that, what I'm saying? Like, how you look at a baby and say you're a sinner? Like, come on. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And that God is going to come back. I never saw somebody come back from the dead, but you know what I'm saying? But they create these scriptures, they create these texts out of, and then they put men over everything. They call God a him, so it excludes the
mm,
woman, and then they make the woman the downfall. So it justifies the subjugation of women. And so they create all this, and then they teach in the temples and tell you, in order for you to be saved, once we implement this system, in order for you to be saved and get the blessings, you have to accept something outside of you that is above you, that is going to come and save you. That is not true. The power
mm-mm.
and the God is within you. And what they hid from you is how your mind works and the different voices within your mind. You have a highest and wisest version of yourself. That is your God. That is who you follow. It is the voice that tells you where you should be, where you should go, what book you need to read,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
you should be talking to. That is within you. Regulates your emotional state, brings you a sense of peace,
Hmm.
sense that you're not
Right.
alone, that everything's gonna be okay. The person that is what you follow to get you out of that, get you from under that conditioning. But the people have been conditioned through religious systems set up by the Roman Catholics who
Yeah.
wanted to imperialize and colonize the world, and we're still living in that. But
Well,
but that's why
let me
people
get,
can't see.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's yeah, that's why people just can't see it. Is because they're conditioned. But you have to understand the history. That's part of the
And
knowledge that people need to know in order to break from that.
all right. Well, this what I'm saying. Okay. The history is good, but I think, and I'm saying this from my opinion, and I think we learn the history, then elevate to self resurrection or self restorement, self or mental uh, uh, health, because from dealing with metaphysics, we deal with the mind, so we deal with psychology. And I would tell people that if you dwell on the past too much, you are creating a portal for yourself that you cannot erase. You cannot make better. You cannot uh, um, do anything because it don't exist no more. Only in books and movies and stuff like that. When people are struggling with psychologies, sometimes it's best to drop weight. And I'm telling you, I've seen this firsthand. And so uh looking at the past, if you're not looking at something that was so bright and so you created a memory so wonderful, and you look back at the past, now you are creating for yourself in present times a low energy that you brought from the past, and just by thinking about it at this moment, your whole chemistry in your body changed because you thought about that. So I think, to me, the slavery things and all of that is keep coming up so we can think about it. You know what they did. So it's like they using it for a tool. Trinity, listen to me what I'm thinking. Now, if I'm wrong, you just tell me I'm wrong. But I think they use it for a tool because I see so many people harping on that. And I'm saying, don't you think uh it's a place somewhere in your psychology that you need to go address some anger issues and things of that nature? So if you keep looking at the past and it making you angry, you carving a cycle of anger in your subconscious mind. Am I
Yeah.
right or wrong now?
No, you're right. You're right. And when you have emotions, when you have thoughts that is associated with anger, it makes you have these um uh this chemical cocktail of anger, which is increased adrenaline, which is a surge of energy. Your heart rate gets faster. Cortisol now floods your system, which heightens your alertness. Testosterone increases your testosterone, which increases your assertiveness, your dominance, your aggression. It pushes you to confront stuff. Dopamine spikes, which is important because it feels like when you act on that anger, it becomes rewarding. And then your serotonin drops, which is your emotional regulation. So now you can't even regulate yourself. So yeah, you just flooded your whole nervous system with that chemical cocktail.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And so a lot of times, I used to be very angry. I used to, like, anger was my default. Like
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to, like, regulate my emotions. And so I saw that I was taking my anger out on different people. And as over the years, I was like, this is not, a healthy way, because I be feeling bad. It comes with some sadness, and emotional pain.
Right.
And I said, change that. How do I, you know, not go to anger? Well, I had to interrupt that pattern. So when that
Mm-hmm.
thought comes into my mind, I have a moment to sit back and say, okay, I know this is making me angry, but I can step back from it and say, I understand this is making you angry right now. Your world is okay. Nothing is wrong. You're healthy. You're fine. You're not in danger. Everything's okay. Tomorrow's going to come. It's going to be all right. Understand, reminding myself of of the consequences if I do release that side.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
choose a different path to be kinder and more graceful. So you have to end that pattern. And then I think about things, I redirect my thinking to something that is positive, something else that I'll exude. And then my emotion level, my I start to get I start to change my chemical compounds to more dopamine, to more oxytocin,
Mm-hmm.
and then I change.
Yeah. And
Yes,
and and
you
and that's
you
why
it affects you.
I be trying to tell people, um, some things you just gotta let go and go on. Because from what I'm understanding through my spiritual connection is we are here to develop the highest spiritual form we can while we in this physical body, and give this spiritual entity that we are creating all the information, all the wisdom, all the love that we can. So when this thing is over, we ascend to another realm. You know, we in third dimension right now. You know, and if you don't have the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding, that spirit that you have cultivated cannot go to that next level. You know, so once I start understanding that, I start changing and looking at the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said. You know, it was like not out of fear, but in my connection with the universe, I love anyway. You know, I'm passionate for people. I'm passionate for life itself, and I try to treat people the way I want to be treated, and I tell the truth much as I possibly can. And so when we live that kind of life, you want to develop this spiritual, because we know we witnesses this every day, that people leave here just like that. But are they ascending to another realm of blissfulness, or repeating this? You get what I'm saying? And so when I
Yeah,
started looking at that, I wanted to change my heart, and I found meditation is good for me, and Tai Chi. And so I
oh,
try to
okay.
use them things to develop love in my heart for everybody, for anything, because you know you can't create when you're angry. I just ain't seen nobody create. It's a motivational thing. When you get angry, you'll go this far, but you got to calm down before you get to the finish line to finish. Because if you stay angry, you're not gonna make it to the finish line, and you ain't gonna see what the universe have in store for you. So my thing was, I had to really I, to hold that thought. Let me put this. Let me put this up, and this gonna finish my sentence. This gonna finish my sentence, because this is where we need to be. Could I? Yeah. Let me see. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her, have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. And my thing is, that's where I had to get, because you know when you's out there, how that anger, it'll run your life. It'll you just lose blessings because you just blow up. You get mad. And it causes, then you sit back and it causes you so much pain, and you trying to figure out why they don't like me, why they don't want to do this, what is this? Well, okay, your anger, you don't know how to count it joy. When you going through something, you bashing everybody, you going off on people that had nothing to do with your situation, and you letting anger, frustration, bitterness run your whole existence until it's gonna destroy your body. And when your body is completed or completely, utterly destroyed, the ghost is out of here. The true consciousness, the awareness, when the body cannot perform and hold the consciousness that's in, you are out of here. And to say all that, we must control ourselves no matter what pain we're going through. We got to sit down and say, they didn't hurt me. He didn't hurt me. She didn't hurt me. But this person right here hurt me. Okay? And you need to address that person or address yourself or the situation in order to move past it. Because if you don't, if you let it play over and over, you know, it's gonna kill you. And then guess what's gonna happen? You don't grab all that information in the past and it's making you mad in the present, and then you're gonna be dreading to go to the future. You see how that works? The past don't mess you up.
Well, I agree. If you simmer in that anger, it can mess you up. But we also, I look at it like that's a rightful anger. It's a just anger because when you wake up, you're going to be angry because you're going to see how much the system is causing suffering. So you're going to be angry at people, and you're going to want to have this. You're going to have this rage. But what you do is you take that anger and you alchemize it. You turn it as fuel for your purpose. What are you going to do with that awareness now? Are you going to take it, turn it into a superpower, and go and help someone else? Or are you going to let it simmer and you're going to sit in it? Because if you do that, it will consume you. It'll eat you alive.
Yeah.
So you could take that anger and use it as fuel. And that's what I do. I take that anger, I call it like a divine anger. I take that divine anger and I turn it into fuel. And okay, let me teach this lesson. You know, let me turn that into a lesson. Let me say this. Let me teach this to somebody else. I use it as fuel for my passion, for my purpose. Because you can use anger, because you can do it on both sides. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. You can take that anger, you can take that energy, that emotion, because emotions is energy in motion. So you can take that energy that is in motion through your body and transform it and create. Take that and create with it.
I agree. And that's where we got to get it. But you know, my thing is I've been through a little rough patch. You know what I mean? I call them rough patch.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when I call it rough patch, people don't understand. See, because they see the outer things you're doing, okay? And they don't understand the rough patch is more psychological and spiritual, because we have growth pains just like we do when in the physical. Spiritual have growth pains and the mental have growth pains. We have to go through these things in order to go to the next level. But when people see me they see the joy and they see the focus and you know, I'm up and down. You know what I mean? It's like I can go from 5 to 10 joyously because I know deep inside I'm bliss, but when I'm focused on things, it look like I'm angry, but I'm focused. You know what I mean? It's like I'm focused. And then I sit down, I go to blitz because I know that the matrix is done with in my category, in my book. I know it. So when when you come across others and you have like one-on-ones with them, what would you tell them about the anger? I mean, like, what would you just sit down and say, brother, sister, you know, uh, read this or go here, do this? What would you tell them, Trinity?
I would first want to understand their anger. I would ask them questions about what are the thoughts that are associated with this anger and how does it make you feel in your body. And then I will ask them, is there something that you do you want to stay in this energy? And I will talk through their anger with them and see, what have you done with this anger? What actions have you what is your behavior associated with this anger? What are the consequences with this anger? Where does this anger come from? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's heal. Let's go back and let's interrupt the pattern. And then I would teach them about, how their mind functions, and so that way they understand how their reality is being created. Because without understanding your own mind and how it's creating your reality, what are you going to do how are you going to be able to change? You have to
Right.
have a sense of the function of the mind. So, I would teach them about how their realities and how these thoughts come with emotions, and you have to listen to your body. Is this giving you shocks to the heart, shocks to the stomach? Okay, we have to change your emotional state. And so we can take that and then can put something else. We can override it with something else. Let's do something that's going to bring you some peace. How about we do some writing? How about we do some journaling? How about we do some inner reflection? And let's get to know who you are. Let's develop your strengths. Let's learn about, your natural abilities. Let's develop a plan for you to have a different outcome, a different lifestyle. Do something different with this energy. Do something different with your thoughts. So I would work through anger in that way where it's practical to change their direction, because I know how much suffering can come with staying in that, letting that simmer, you staying in that anger. I mean, it's you're tearing up your whole life. Shunning away, isolate yourself, and then the regret and that comes with that, and the depression and the poor mental state that comes with that. Then you start to drink, then you start to do drugs, then you start to have all these vices just to quiet the thoughts. That's a cycle of self-harm, toxicity. Now you're starting to harm
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Now you think you're not enough. Now you think you're not. You see, and it's a spiral, and it's
Right.
causing people to suffer and be in a state of hell within their mind. So I
Mm-hmm.
will work them out of that, work them out of it, to get them to a state of peace.
And see, that's what we need more. You know, I was invited to a event, right? And on the email, it was all these politicians and rappers and
Mm.
police departments and fire departments and all of this. And I declined.
Mm.
I sent them an email back and I told them, I say, I don't see no psychologists on here. I don't see no metaphysicians on here.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
I said, I'm not coming to that, because if you truly trying to help, these
Thank
are the
you.
people that you need to have at these kind of functions. And if you don't have these people, then you just spinning your wheel, you know. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
my thing is, we got to understand, and you know, when you study Hinduism and you study Buddhism, even Islam, because I'm gonna tell you something, Islam bow down 3 times a day, and that is a form of not only a mental discipline to be in line with that, no matter where you at.
Mhm. I
So
tried it. I was with them. That was hard.
yeah, yeah. So these people are trying to keep mental health to the point, that they can control it. But here's the thing: what I'm saying is, when you start waking up to who you are, the I am that I am, uh,
Mhm.
it's like you want everybody to know
Yeah, you be.
you're not. Yeah, yeah.
That's why I be
So
doing my lessons the way I do. I be trying to get everybody to know this. Get them videos out.
yeah. So what I'm saying is, Trinity, a lot of people, if they woke up to the love within them, they'll see this universe, themselves, and everybody in them differently. Now I'm gonna show you this video one more time. I'm gonna replay this video, cause see, I missed to say what I wanted to say with it, but listen to what she said and listen closely.
Know only what we teach them. If there is something wrong in the generations, which last 2 generations, which did not carry on the tradition, we have not taken the children to our knees and told them the truth. Darling, here's the way it is. You live in direct relation to the poets, the heroes, and the sheroes you have. Always honor the elders. Oh, then you honor yourself. Honor women. You honor yourself. Honor men.
Listen, what she's saying, and I didn't catch it until the second time I listened to it. When you honor me, you honoring yourself. When I honor you, I am honoring myself. Why? Because she know that we all are just one. There's no separation when the only thing it appears to be a separation. But she was saying this is how you elevate your consciousness, by treating and loving and respecting everybody around you, and then that will come back to you. And that's what we missing,
Mhm.
because we think that we in this by ourselves, but we're not. You get me? And giving honor to people that we think outside of us is really helping us develop a stronger and a more expanding consciousness. Do you agree on that?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. It's honoring. When you honor someone else, it's the same as honoring yourself. And it teaches a child how to honor other people. And then they grow up in an environment where everyone is treated with the same amount of respect. and there's no differences amongst that. And collectively, what that does is it allows a nation to flourish. It allows
Mm-hmm.
people the next and then the next to continue to flourish, and we keep evolving and we keep elevating and we keep increasing in our society. That's eventually what will happen. And until we do that, if we keep teaching how to people through racial hierarchies in school, we're just staying stagnant. We're staying stagnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Consciousness can
you, hmm
consciousness can expand with hatred and bitterness. And I'm telling you, like
no,
every, everybody think, you know, let's fight, let's do this. Okay, you being stagnant, but just think about when you pick up a stick. They ain't picking up sticks no more, but I'm just saying when they pick up a stick, that is one of the lowest animal behaviors that you can do. Now, let's fast forward this time. When you pick up a gun and shoot somebody, that is one of the animal, you still in animal mindset. You get what I'm saying? And so when consciousness having expanded to the point where your babies understand the quality of life force in his peers or anybody that he finna do harm to, he don't think twice. See, respect me to look twice. You know, he don't respect this man he finna shoot and see that this man is him. And he is, you get what I'm saying? Trinity.
well, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, and the reason why they don't see it is because they were not taught anything else. We're not taught anything else. Me and
Mhm.
you see it because we went to our ancient ancestors and we learned the metaphysical. We learned and connected to our ancestors and said, you know what? What is the last age? What is the last society that we reference to that it was safe? We didn't have to go out and steal and pillage and go after read. We knew how to take care of our citizens. We knew how to educate. You can live your life and build and uplift other civilizations and other tribal nations and institute and erect, institutions and high sciences and teach people, the purpose of life, the meaning of life, and what you came here to do, where you're going to go after you transition, what is the meaning to life, what is your relationship to the sun, the moon, the stars. No one knows that type of information. Like, what is it like to live in a society like that? Because all everybody knows is what they've been taught, which is to react
Mhm.
in this way. Because, well, this is how we settle our differences. This is how we settle conflict. This is how we deal with it.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
people are aware of another way to live, they're always going to default to that. And, to take it even further with our youth and, the gun violence, they're being conditioned and targeted for violence
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that is how they set up a school to prison pipeline. Young
Yeah.
age, our kids are being
Yeah.
conditioned to pop and a certain type of messaging that keeps them in this state. And they can't see past the anger. They don't know what to do with all their anger. That's because they're not taught. And I believe that this type of information should be taught in schools.
Well, listen.
If you're not
Now
teaching this in school,
that last statement, I want you to write that down, and that's gonna be the topic on Friday night live. Okay, we're gonna speak on prison pipeline. Okay, because you're right. We need to put that information out when we go live on Friday. Um, we'll set up everything, and that's what we'll speak on. Okay, And I'm gonna have to close this one out right here. And I think we hit enough points so the people that see this video, they will get something from it, and I hope
Yes.
they do. And like I say, we all go through problems, but you see how we work through our problems. We didn't give up. We kept
No, we didn't.
striving. We didn't let it destroy our feeling and our personality, our integrity. We kept going. Love is love. Experience life. Live. Stop existing and do the best you can. And always, what I say, Trinity, go ahead and close out.
Well, if this live was helpful, you got some gems out of this live. You've experienced some elevation in your consciousness. Share this with somebody else that could elevate their consciousness as well, because we are all looking for answers, and this is the place to come and receive those answers. So until next time, everyone, enjoy your evening.
And likewise, like I always say, know thyself, love thyself, and be true to thyself. Peace out and one love.